over with. As usual, lots of stuff going on. Where do I start? Maybe, oh, I don't know. We see Carney, Michael Ma, and Jean Chrétien over in China. Oh, Marie. Over in China. And been pretty hush-hush about what they're talking about. That's kind of scary. Probably when we find out, there's liquid gal. When we find out, it'll be too late. They'll have everything, all their plans made, and who knows what they're up to. Let's see. I got a bunch of stuff set up here. There's Lynn. Lynn, how's the homeless life? Living in a tent. Still happening with you? It must be rough. Feel sorry for you. Stuck in a tent. There's Paul. Then get a couple more on here. We get rolling. I got, let's see what I got over here. Well, we got a little bit of racism in the government. That's, you know, they're always screaming racist, racist. So I guess they decided that they'd just throw this out there and maybe people wouldn't notice that they're the racist ones. That's, and what do we have? Where am I? I gotta get my other, sorry about that, my software up here. Okay. So I was taking a shower outside, I bet. Son, Emma. Okay. Black racism in Canada from the government. Well, not really. They're not really racist against black people. Racist against white people. Because Mark Miller, Rebel, did this. They put this out. It's all over the social media. Mark Miller announces the Liberal government is spending $200 million on black-led, black-focused, and black-serving organizations to combat anti-black racism. There's not a whole lot of that going on in Canada, but they decided that they just stir a little bit up. That's the Liberal way of doing things, right? You got to stir the pot so they can try to look like the good guy, even though they don't realize that people look at them like they're a bunch of screw-ups. This is what diversity, equity, and inclusion looks like, he says. Yeah, it looks like racism, doesn't it? So, there you go, Government of Canada. Just being racist. I don't know. We're heading down a dangerous path. We had, look, everything that's going on over in Iran. This one here was posted by Feeling Sharp. Political foolishness. People, Christian Ray. Well, okay. Right on, folks. So this one here was posted by Ryan Garrettson on X. That's the platform rather, that Carney's trying to sidle up with Starmer and the other clown down in Australia there to try to ban X from Canada, Australia, and the UK, and that's not going to go over real good. So, not that they really care, because they're the Three Stooges that when they get together, they figure that they can sign something together, then it's going to be good for everybody, but it's not good for anybody. So, they just hate the truth getting out. They got to do something to shut that truth down. Who wants these free speech platforms? Not the government, that's for sure. So, well, what was going on here? This is Richmond Hill, Ontario. There was thousands of Canadians out in solidarity for Iran. What an incredible sight. Put this up here. We get a better look at it. It's a very short one, 29 seconds. So a very good turnout. So we'll see. Uh, Sharp Evan Solomon said Canada isn't doing that for what it's worth. Yeah, no kidding, eh? So a great turnout for the freedom seekers of Iran. I met a lovely lady. Her and her husband and their children got out of Iran and they came into Canada. And a pretty good talk with them. They were like one of the lucky ones that got out. And Canada was known for uh, the refugees from Iran coming to Canada. Uh, that was after during the revolution or somewhere thereabouts in the 70s, I believe it was. And then the government changed, of course, and we got Trudeau, and the rest is history. It wasn't the refugees that were coming in; it was the IRGC that was coming in. The ones that were hunting the people that fled is the ones that Trudeau was letting into the country. The liberal way, right? Is it socialism or is it communism? They're not stupid. I mean, don't give Trudeau any credit for being smart, but I mean, it wasn't him making the decisions, right? So, anyways, yeah, it's not good, folks, not good. That's where we're at. Mark Carney's over there trying to swing deals, and it's scary when he's got his Ron Crutchin with him. And Michael Ma. Michael Ma is a communist, and full-on communist. And he snuck into the Conservative Party, probably, apparently, and he couldn't wait to get over to join up with the communist or socialist liberals. So, look at gal, Fred, look into Barbara Lerner Specter and her involvement in multiculturalism. I will take a look at that when I get a chance. You know what? That's why I have this. The power of pen. I'll put that down. That name sounds familiar. Barbara Lerner. Barbara Lerner Specter. Specter. That's right out of James Bond. Okay, so now who else is over there? What else do we have here? This is Anita Anand speaking on Iran. I don't know. Let me see. I just pause this, take it back.
At the same time, we are all...
Pause this. I'm sorry for the sound of her voice, but we got to hear what the dimwit's got to say, right? So here she is, She's still foreign minister. I don't know. Carney's got them all shifted around so much.
At the same time, we are all watching the current situation in Iran, the protests that are deeply troubling, the use of violence and repressive tactics. And we will continue to call for human rights, including the right to peaceful assembly, and that those rights be upheld. And I recognize that...
Now just remember, this is coming from the party that crushed the Freedom Convoy. And she's talking about standing up for people's rights. That's incredible. The audacity.
Many of you have family and friends in Iran, and that they may be impacted, are likely impacted by these ongoing events. And your families are in our thoughts. And I'm personally inspired by the courage and the determination of the protesters to seek tangible change. Le courage, la détermination.
Well, at least they didn't crush the protesters in Iran with horses. They just picked them off with some, pow things, right? That's the way they do it. I'm sure she wouldn't mind if they could have done that here. Just saying. You can't trust them. Now, see, we had this was on who? This one here was posted 15 hours ago, and it was in another one in Toronto. I think it was Toronto. Yeah, it was Toronto, and it was a Canada First rally. So, those are the people that the government doesn't like, right? So, but what happened? Party crashers showed up. The Antifa party crashers. They actually smoked a cop right in the face. So, that didn't go over too good for them.
This is the craziest you've ever seen. Yeah. They literally are, what the hell? They're moving up. Holy shit, he hit the top. Oh my god, he hit the top. He hit the top. Holy shit. The guy hit the top. Holy shit.
You know, you notice the cops doing the old knee thing when he's down there. He's just grabbing him with the knee, right? You can't really blame him. You shouldn't hit cops, I don't know if that one will ever do that again or not. He's going to be bruised up a bit anyways, so sometimes our government's tactic is to relabel the problem. Once relabeled, they have policies that kick in. Yeah, they're dirty. That's all I can say is they're very dirty. Mark Carney, Dean Allison posted this. Mark Carney wants to ban X in a coordinated move with the UK and Australia. This would be the most draconian, authoritarian attack on free speech Canadians have ever faced. We are living through a remarkably dark chapter in history where freedom is turned into dirty word, and compliance with censorship is harshly enforced and celebrated by those on the left. It's not democracy. That's sliding into tyranny one day and one bad government decision at a time. Elections have consequences, and next time you vote, remember who is intentionally taking your rights away because they don't think you deserve them. Now, there's this too. That John Gaddy posted. I'll show you the picture. It says, always remember the same people who thought this totally unqualified imbecile could lead Canada for 10 years are the same people who just voted for Carney. That's a sad fact. True, but sad. These idiots thought, yeah, well, okay, time for Trudeau to go, but the new guy's going to fix everything up, and and all the same people that are sitting in there in the party are going to just magically change. No, it doesn't work that way. Now we're heading deep into socialism. That's the liberal agenda. That's the WEF agenda. The UN, all those 2-letter, 3-letter outfits. And there were three, I've got an example here. There were 3 countries that tried socialism. I'm not going to go over all 3 of them. It was Israel, India, and the UK. So, but you can see the similarities between kind of what's going down now right here and what happened back then. The one I wanted to look at is actually the first one on the list, and it's Israel. Because, well, just because the similarities are kind of stark, I would say. Socialists are fond of saying that socialism has never failed because it has never been tried. But in truth, socialism has failed in every country in which it has been tried, from the Soviet Union beginning a century ago to 3 modern countries that tried but ultimately rejected socialism: Israel, India, and the United Kingdom. While there were major political differences between the totalitarian rule of the Soviets and the democratic politics of Israel, India, and the UK, all 3 of the latter countries adhered to socialist principles, nationalizing their major industries and placing economic decision-making in the hands of the government, not the people that voted them in, of course. It's full control by the government. I believe that's what we're seeing right now here. The Soviet failure has been well documented by historians. In 1985, General Secretary Mikhail Gorbachev took command of a bankrupt, disintegrating empire. After 70 years of Marxism, Soviet farms were unable to feed the people. Factories failed to meet their quotas. People lined up for blocks in Moscow and other cities to buy bread and other necessities. And a war in Afghanistan dragged on with no end in sight of the body bags of young Soviet soldiers. The economies of the communist nations behind the Iron Curtain were similarly enfeebled because they functioned in a large measure as colonies of the Soviet Union. With no incentives to compete or modernize, the industrial sector of Eastern and Central Europe became a monument to bureaucratic inefficiency and waste, a museum of the early industrial age. As the New York Times pointed out at the time, Singapore, an Asian state of only 2 million people, exported 20% more machinery to the West in 1987 than all of Eastern Europe. Now, I'm just going to give you a little example that I experienced firsthand. I was working on Russian trawlers. We were changing the ship's boiler out. We were taking the one out of the mothership and putting it into one of the smaller ones, and not small by all means because they stay out for years, just pillaging the ocean floor. Huge crews, guards on the gangplanks to make sure none of the crew members escaped, jail cells down in the bottom of the hull. I talked to a couple of guys there that were hanging out, and I asked them what it was like over in Russia. Well, first of all, they make $5,000 a year US, and they're lined up in the Black Sea area to try to get on those freighters because that's huge money, or back then it was. So anyways, I asked them what it was like under communism because it's like forced labor, and they said, no, there's no forced labor in the communist countries. In Russia, there's no forced labor. Everybody goes to work, because you don't go to work, you don't eat. So you don't, but it's not forced labor because you don't have to work. You just got to show up. You got to be there every day. And the production is down because you get paid the same if you work or you don't work. So they just hang out and talk, and they're bored. Boredom is bad. Bad for morale. And some of the guys got bored and they'd do a little work. I noticed all the tools on the ship were antique, all made in Spain. But anyways, is it forced labor? Well, if you want to eat, yeah. If you don't want to eat, well, it's not forced. You can stay home and starve. So those are your two options in the communist country. It's not really an option, is it? Although they say that is an option. Okay, the economies of the communist nations behind the Iron Curtain were similarly enfeebled because they functioned in large measure as colonies of the Soviet Union. Okay, I went through that. Uh, and yet, socialism still beguiled leading intellectuals and politicians of the West. They could not resist its siren song of a world without strife because it was a world without private property. I think they're trying to get rid of some private property here in Canada right now. Especially in BC. They were convinced that a bureaucracy could make more informed decisions about the welfare of the people than the people themselves could. Sounds like Carney. Trudeau. Can't have plastic. You, whatever, you have to do this, you have to do that. They believed with John Maynard Keynes that the state is wise and the market is stupid. Israel, India, and the United Kingdom all adopted socialism as an economic model following World War II. The preamble to India's constitution, for example, begins, "We, the people of India, have solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic." There's a mouthful. The original settlers of Israel were East European Jews of the left who sought and built a socialist society. As soon as the guns of World War II fell silent, Britain's Labour Party nationalized every major industry and acceded to every socialist demand of the unions. Fighting a sneeze here. At first, socialism seemed to work in these vastly dissimilar countries. For the first 2 decades of its existence, Israel's economy grew at an annual rate of more than 10%, leading to many to term Israel an economic miracle. The average GDP growth rate of India from its founding in 1947 into the 1970s was 3.5%, placing India among the more prosperous developing nations. GDP growth in Great Britain averaged 3% from 1950 to 1965, along with a 40% rise in average real wages, enabling Britain to become one of the world's more affluent countries. But the government planners were unable to keep pace with increasing population and overseas competition. Kind of sounds like here we got an increase in population and overseas competition right now. After decades of ever declining economic growth and ever rising unemployment, all 3 countries abandoned socialism and turned toward capitalism and the free market. The resulting prosperity in Israel, India, and the UK vindicated free marketers who had predicted that socialism would inevitably fail to deliver the goods. As British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher observed, the problem with socialism is that you eventually run out of other people's money. So in Israel, says Israel is unique, the only nation where socialism was successful for a while. The original settlers, according to Israeli professor Avi Kay, sought to create an economy in which market forces were controlled for the benefit of the whole society. Driven by a desire to leave behind their history as victims of penury and prejudice, they sought an egalitarian, labor-oriented socialist society. The initial homogeneous population of less than 1 million drew up centralized plans to convert the desert into green pastures and build efficient state-run companies. Right now, we have a huge population that was brought in under Trudeau and now Carney that are kicking back, and the rest of us are paying for it. The same in the United States of America. The problem with the Somalis is showing up down there, and that's just one example in the U.S. There's many, many people from all over the world there that are just sucking the country dry. Same is happening right here. That's socialism. That was under Biden and under Barack. So the same thing is going down here too. And I'm afraid that when they get run out of the U.S., they're going to run north to the border, and Carney's going to let them in. On another note, I just seen a message from I forget where I seen it now. Somebody had asked this person online. They said they just got back from the U.S. and they said, "Oh well, how were you treated down there? Were the border guards, treat you bad, or the American people treat you bad?" And they said, "No, no, everybody treated us good until we started coming back into Canada, and then the Canadian Border Services gave us a hard time about being in the United States." You see, socialism, pretty close to communism. Most early settlers, American Enterprise Institute scholar Joseph Light pointed out, worked either on collective farms called kibbutzim or in state-guaranteed jobs. Sounds like the Russians. The kibbutzim were small farming communities in which people did chores in exchange for food and money to live on and pay their bills. There was no private property. People ate in common, and children under 18 lived together, but not with their parents. I see they had to be indoctrinated, right? Any money earned on the outside was given to the kibbutz. A key player in the socialization of Israel was the Histadrut, the General Federation of Labor. Subscribers to the socialist dogma that capital exploits labor and that the only way to prevent such robbery is to grant control of the means of production to the state. As it proceeded to unionize almost all workers, the Histadrut gained control of nearly every economic and social sector, including the kibbutz. Housing, transportation, banks, social welfare, healthcare, and education. Excuse me. Government runs our education. How's that working out for us? Government runs the healthcare. How's that working out for us? The banks. Well, won't even get into the media. Federation's political instrument was the Labor Party, which effectively ruled Israel from the founding of Israel in 1948 until 1973 and the Yom Kippur War. In the early years, few asked whether any limits should be placed on the role of government. That was a mistake. Israel's economic performance seemed to confirm Keynes's, I think that is judgment. Real GDP growth from 1955 to 1975 was an astounding 12.6%, putting Israel among the fastest growing economies in the world with one of the lowest income differentials. Everybody was poor. However, this rapid growth was accompanied by rising levels of private consumption and, over time, increasing income inequality. There was an increasing demand for economic reform to free the economy from the government's centralized decision-making. In 1961, supporters of economic liberalization formed the Liberal Party, the first political movement committed to a market economy. The Israeli economic miracle evaporated in 1965 when the country suffered its first major recession. Economic growth halted, unemployment rose threefold from 65 to 67. Before the government could attempt corrective action, the Six-Day War erupted, altering Israel's economic and political map. Paradoxically, the war brought short-lived prosperity to Israel, owing to increased military spending and a major influx of workers from new territories, but government-led economic growth was accompanied by accelerating inflation with an annual rate of 17%. Now, I'm just going to scoot on down here a bit towards the end of its long article. Finally, in January of 1983, the bubble burst, and thousands of private citizens and businesses, as well as government-run enterprises, faced bankruptcy. Israel was close to collapse. At this critical moment, a sympathetic U.S. President Ronald Reagan and his Secretary of State George Shultz came to the rescue. They offered a grant of $1.5 billion if the Israeli government agreed to abandon its socialist rulebook and adopt some form of U.S.-style capitalism using American-trained professionals. That's how the ties with Israel and the U.S. got so close. See, the government, they were borrowing and spending and driving up inflation. Exactly what's going on here right now. So it's the ghosts of socialism past are alive in Canada, the UK, Australia. UK never learned their lesson. What happened over there was the Conservative Party fell because they went too socialist and they voted in the Labour Party, which is even more socialist. So, yeah, just a matter of time before socialism fails and takes the country down. But they keep doing the same thing, borrowing money, printing more money from the Federal Reserve, the federal banks. And as soon as they keep doing that, that's the end of the country. And Carney just loves doing it. Trudeau loves doing it. We're going down. So get ready. I think this summer is going to be really hard, really harsh. I think we're going to see a lot of changes in the economy. Now, over in Iran, that's the other dictatorship that's going down. They had, this just come out here, it's something that people don't think about when the country's collapsing and the riots are running rampant through the streets and it's all chaos. What's going on there is in their hospitals, and says it wasn't even enough time for CPR. Iran medics describe hospitals overwhelmed with deceased, injured protesters. I gotta be careful what I say on here. YouTube will hit me again. Staff at several hospitals in Iran have told the BBC their facilities are overwhelmed with unalive or injured patients as major anti-government protests continue. Medic at one Tehran hospital said there were direct shots to the heads of the young people, to their hearts as well, while a doctor said an eye hospital in the capital had gone into crisis mode. Two of the medical workers who spoke to the BBC said they treated shot wounds from both live and pellets. On Friday, the U.S. repeated that taking out the protesters would be met with a military response. Iran blamed the U.S. for turning peaceful protests into what it called violent subversive acts and widespread vandalism. Yeah, the Americans had to get in there and rile the people up. I don't think so. Reacting to the latest developments President Trump posted on social media, Iran is looking at freedom, perhaps like never before. The USA stands ready to help. Protests began in the capital, Tehran, a fortnight ago over economic hardship. Economic hardship, see, the countries go down. They have since spread to more than 100 cities and towns across all of Iran's provinces. Hundreds of protesters are believed to have been taken out or injured, and many more detained. BBC Persian has confirmed the identities of 26, including 6 children. That's another thing. These refugees from Iran that fled back in the 70s, they're not Iranians. I'll tell you straight out, they're Persians. Members of the security forces have also been eliminated, with one human rights group putting the numbers at 14. BBC Persian has verified that 70 of the remains were brought to Purasina Hospital in Rasht City on Friday night. The morgue there was at full capacity, so the remains were taken away. The authorities asked the relatives of the remains for 7 billion rials, about $7,000, to release them for a burial, hospital source said. They're actually ransoming off the deceased. BBC and most other international news organizations are unable to report from inside Iran, and the country has been under a near total internet blackout since Thursday evening, making obtaining and verifying information difficult, to say the least. Hospital worker in Tehran described very horrible scenes, saying there were so many wounded that staff did not have time to perform CPR. Around 38 people haven't made it so far, many as soon as they reached the emergency beds. Direct to the heads of the young people, to their hearts as well. Many of them didn't even make it to the hospital. The number was so large that there wasn't enough space in the morgue. They were piled on top of one another. After it became full, they stacked them on top of another in the prayer room, she said. The hospital workers said that deceased or wounded were young people. Couldn't look at many of them. They were 20 to 25 years old. Doctor who contacted the BBC via Starlink satellite connection on Friday night said Tehran's main eye specialist center, the Parabi Hospital, had gone into crisis mode with emergency services overwhelmed. Non-urgent admissions and surgeries were suspended. The staff called in to deal with the emergency cases, he said. Iran's security forces often use the big ones, which have cartridges, pellets, during confrontations with protesters. One had been shot in the eye. It just goes on and on. It's just gross. The people are fed up. They want their freedom back. The mullahs and tyrants, they're ruthless. Their grip on power, they just want to let it go. Don't want to let it go, and it's a horrible situation over there. There was in the UK. Now this is what I like. I'm pretty sure this is UK. I'm just going by the police uniforms. I'll show you what's going on here, because you know what the Iranian flag looks like, and you know what the Persian flag looks like. Lots of Persian flags showing up right now in the countries. Well, here's a fellow here. Decides to take matters into his own hands. I think this is the Iranian embassy, if I'm not mistaken. The cops look bewildered. They don't know what to do. They couldn't catch him. And the crowd's cheering them on. They're standing there like, you're in the wrong spot, guys. You better clear out of there, because obviously they're outnumbered. But that's smart. But their boss says, don't let them put any of the flags up. Okay, boss. They should get another job. So, there's going to be lots of that going on. We're not going to see all of it, of course, but I mean, there's going to be a lot of those flags being ripped down. It's good to see. And that guy can sure climb. You got to give him credit. Somebody said he should get Go to the Year award, greatest of all time. There's Michelle Ferrari. I know she lost her seat, but she's still very involved in politics, so that's good to see. Liberals keep waving the safety flag, but history shows us this is about control, not protection. While politicians go after platforms like X at Elon Musk to virtue signal, people are being abused, silenced, and taken out by the bad guys and the IRGC, an actual designated bad organization. X and tools like Starlink are helping people communicate when authoritarian regimes try to shut them down. Imperfect, sure, but they're being used right now by people who don't get government-approved speech. They actually shut that down on them. So forgive me if I don't buy this, this is for your safety line. When speech platforms are targeted while the bad guys thrive, it's hard not to notice what's really being controlled. And there's a little a picture there. Carney considers banning Elon Musk's X over safety concerns. That is going to blow up in his face so much. And all those liberals cheering it on, well, they better hope that if he manages to block X, that all the conservatives don't go over to Blue Sky, because their world will be a hell on that platform. There's lots of bots on X, liberal bots, but I'll tell you, if all the conservatives go over there, the problem is, they're not the problem. The problem is for them. Conservatives are naturally smarter, tuned into what's going on. So when they're playing with a half a deck and the conservatives have a full deck, it's pretty much stacked against them. And they're not going to like the results. I guarantee you that. They'll be screaming and crying for X to come back. Almost look forward to that, but I don't want to see anything canceled here because of them. Now, you see, Michael Ma, the trader, is over in China with Carney. But this was just, when was this? This was, I believe, maybe last night. Michael Ma attended a dinner, the Fujian Business and Trade Association. Fuji. I don't know how much you deal with Fuji, but it's just another example of liberal foolishness, trying to make something out of nothing. But the people didn't take it. The people weren't impressed. Get some audio going here. So, yeah, everywhere he goes in Markham or anywhere there's protests, and any of these other critters that are thinking about taking the bribe. First of all, bribing a politician is illegal. How are they getting away with that? There should be stiff sentences handed out for bribing a politician. Not in Canada. It's all fair dinkum. So, like I say, they're running they're also running the police, right, and the courts. So, it makes it pretty hard. There's a comment here from Cat Turd. Cat Turd's in the U.S. If the leader of your country is even considering banning X, you have a communist leader. So, Frank Terrazzano, Crown corporations dish out $190 million in bonuses. Corporations are doing good in Canada. It's seems we got a corporal crook running it. This one here is from Bradshaw. This comment here. This is what every Canadian should be afraid of. The puppet is trying to be buddies with China instead of the US. The puppet is running a WEF cult in Canada. This puppet wants to crush your life so he can have a better one. I agree 100% with that. It seems to be Carney's for Carney and his cronies. And look, we got so many good podcasters now on different platforms. Even YouTube they're very careful with what they say on YouTube. They have to be, but they're getting the message out. They're really good. It's nice to see a younger generation that is actually fighting hard for the country. I haven't been over on Rumble for quite a while, but I bet you there's a lot of stuff happening on Rumble. So, but we do have a certain, I guess, say an age bracket that is actually, they all seem to be around the same age. I'm saying, I'll say 30 years old, somewhere around there. It's hard to judge sometimes people's age, but yeah, they're on top of it. It's a full-time job for them. So those are the ones Carney is scared of, and the Liberals are scared of them because the message is getting out. And there's a few more people waking up. And when they run out of money, as Margaret Thatcher said, game's over. Right now, with all the billions that's being shipped around the world and laundered and coming back into their pockets, and they know that they basically have a get out of jail free card, so they get more and more brazen, and they're addicted to the money. They just need more and more. It's going to crash. It's going to crash. We'll see how it plays out, but why do you think they want that confiscation so bad? They're worried about it too. Don't worry. The Carney's got an escape plan. They always do. But not all of them. The other lackeys are going to be left behind. That's when socialism falls. The ones at the top skip out. And the other ones have to run for their lives. Because they're the only ones people can get a hold of. So it's coming. It's going down. Now, is Carney over there for wait, what's going on? Is he selling us out? I wouldn't doubt it. Gretchen, what's Gretchen doing there? I guess he's got the toehold in there for Canada, and paving the path for Carney and Michael Ma, a communist accomplice. I'm assuming. I have no proof, but it sure looks bad. If he's not, he should be standing up and saying that he's not. If he's not saying that, he's not doing that. So I think it's a big, they're setting up a big scam. There's going to be more money. Investments in China. We're going to invest in China because that's going to make our economy boom. We're just going to borrow another $25 billion for, let's say, slip that over to Xi Jinping, and then he's going to invest it for us, and we're going to get lots of returns. Yeah, and Trump's looking at this and saying, what's going on up there? What are they up to? That's going to bite us big time. So, and China is such a peaceful nation that, well, maybe not actually a peaceful nation. China seems it never sleeps, eh? They're always working on something, and it's usually military. This here, they're very big into the robotics, military. robotics. And some of them are just like, this is bizarre. This one here, it's just a round ball type of thing.
输入冷气，查答议题。浙江大学研究
I had to kill that, but none of us speak Mandarin. But this thing here, imagine them dropping a bunch of these into the country. And it's capable of being, it can go in the water too, you'll see. Now, I'm not sure quite what it could do. I think it shot out some gas. There's another little one walking along the trail. But it's up to no good. Now there it goes, through the mud and through the water. It's got cameras on it. Oh, it's got the net gun, that's right too. It shoots out a net to grab people. So, I think that was right at the beginning, I missed it. The goat. They got the fighter. That's awful loud too. I'll turn that down. Turn it off. This fighter. I'll get back here to the start. They're training the fighter. It's tall too. So that's their military. Those are heavy bags. They don't move easy. So, like I say, they're planning something big. This one here is a mosquito drone, I think it's called. I think it's called a mosquito drone. They can send it out to check out on what's ahead of them. What's over here?
比如我手上的这个像蚊子一样的
There it
也是一种
is.
机器人，像这种微型仿生类机器人，特别适合用于战场上的信息侦察等特殊任务。比如我手上的这个像蚊。
So, see that little drone? Nobody would see that. It's like a little mosquito. And it just sends back video to the operators so they can see what's ahead of them without the opposition knowing what's going on. This one here, these are the dogs. You might have seen these ones before, but I think they've advanced them quite a bit. I had to take one off because it had something strapped to its back that made a lot of noise and it took out a lot of people. So you know how, you know what YouTube would do with me with that one. So these ones here don't have that on them, but they just unload off the truck. They run in a pack. Now, I was watching another clip and it showed them, they're running in a pack, and it said that one carries communications, one carries supplies, one carries whatever, something else, and the other one is assault or something, right? So each one has a different purpose, but they all work together as a group. But this one here now is it almost looks like in Ukraine when they had the shipping containers and the top opened up and the drones come out. This is kind of along that line. You wouldn't if you've seen this vehicle, you wouldn't think too much of it. You would think it had cargo in it, you know. But it's got cargo, all right, but not what you would think. Anyways, you get the idea. Probably get hit for that one. I don't know anymore on this platform, YouTube, what they're going to do. Because it's not only algorithms. They got people sitting there watching this stuff, getting paid big money for it. And you know who the people are. They got purple hair and pink hair and piercings all over their body and their one side of their head shaved. So, but we do have this one here now, and I can show the whole thing. It's not very long anyway. It's only 55 seconds. But this is what the future, well, the future's here, but this is what it's going to look like when they're coming over the hill. This is what you'll see. So they're marching into shipping containers. What percentage of shipping containers are checked coming into Vancouver? It's 1%. What's in the other 99%? So, LA, Washington, it's Bremerton, I think it is. Yeah, Bremerton's their shipyards, but I don't know what the docks are. Yeah, just fill them shipping containers up. Those freighters, look how many shipping containers they carry. So, this one here. Oh, that's my last one. You know, I kind of like my Roadrunner videos, eh? So I think where is it here? Hang on, let's be one sec. Canada's infrastructure bank spent 4 million on projects and 47 million on itself. That sounds like socialism. 38 million on salaries, 9 million on bonuses, 204 million in unexpected credit losses, nearly $250 million vaporized. by their own math, $1 in equals 1 cent out. And after this, Ottawa is shoveling another $10 billion into the same failure while Canadians line up at food banks. That isn't investment, it's institutional delusion. And that was Taxpayers Federation, Franco Terrazzano. So, I did find a new Roadrunner video, and I can't help it, I love them. I always loved the Bugs Bunny. So, and these are from Arizona, where these little guys are, little fellas running around, little Roadrunners. Somebody caught this one. I like how it speeds up here. It's almost like they tease the predators. It's running just the same speed as the coyote, and then when the coyote tries to get a little closer, it takes off. Apparently, I remember the cuckoo bird family. Oh, my Roadrunner video I found. Here's, oh, okay, I got another one. Because it's not just the coyote. Apparently cats like chasing them too, trying to catch them. I mean, they're birders. So there's a cat going after one. Cat didn't do as good as a coyote. So there's not too many of these online, but I've searched around and found a few. I might as well do the other one too. It's 26 seconds long or something. This is an actual coyote again. Going after a Roadrunner, of course. It's her favorite meal. They just never get to have it. Okay, one more Roadrunner. Go get him, Wiley.
If you're on the highway and Roadrunner goes deep.
You gotta kill the music. Where'd he go? Yeah, a coyote is it's pretty baffled. Roadrunner just disappeared on him. So I don't know where he went. I don't know where it went. It doesn't show. Maybe it hid in the bush. I seen one here that on Roadrunner. It's I'll see if I can. Well, I shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna see if I can find it. I shouldn't do this, but I gotta try because this one's. No, I won't bother. Anyways, that's the Roadrunner videos. So, okay, I'm saying this summer we're gonna have a hard time. They're gonna borrow more money, put us farther in debt. We see how socialism progresses until it falls, and basically it's changed a bit, because now we're involved with the WEF and the United Nations, all those awful organizations, and they demand money and they demand control, and we're the peons that they don't like. So this could be a hot summer. The U.S. is having a lot of issues down there right now. See, the media finally come out, and actually CBC, believe it or not, come out and admitted that, yeah, the cop was, he wasn't in the wrong. It must have just been like having their teeth pulled to try to get them to say that. So, we haven't quite reached that point here yet, but we got those idiot Antifa, and they're aggressive, getting more aggressive, and they know the police don't bother them until they punch them, and then the police have to retaliate because they can't stand there and get punched in the face. And maybe that'll wake the cops up a bit. Maybe they get hit a few more times or sprayed or whatever. It's the thing is, you can't tell any difference between the UK bobbies, the Canadian police, and the Australian police. They're all quite happy to do their job, whatever the prime ministers say. Sure, yeah, the chief tells them to do it, and they do it. So, I don't know. It could be a summer of frozen bank accounts. They seem to like doing that tactic. They like locking political opponents up. Not politicians, but people that don't agree with them. So, yeah. What happened, Faye? Looks like you lost somebody. It does. Sorry to hear that. My condolences. So giving you something to laugh about, yeah. We all need a chuckle once in a while, eh? So, no. So, anyways, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Pay. Losses are never easy to deal with, that's for sure. Let's see. So, yeah, we're breaking from the U.S. and we're joining China and Europe. China's tight with the USSR. So the Americans are going to be looking at us saying, well, let's see, they're lining up with China and USSR's in the background. Excuse me, and the Europeans, the European Union that Carney is so fond of. And Trump doesn't want anything to do with it, and that's starting to break up too, because it seems to me it was Hungary and Poland and Italy want out. So, right? So that'll be 3 gone. And then that, is it Ursula, I think, is the head of the EU. She's just a scatterbrained commie, and Ursula von der Leyen, I think, is her name. The country, some of them are seeing through it, and people are rising up and saying, look, we want out of this mess. It's just a hot mess, and we don't want anything to do with it. And they're poking the Russians. So, yeah, we'll see. Look at the price of silver right now, and gold. It's going crazy. $111 in Canadian pretend money. $111 Canadian for an ounce of silver. 6,200, almost 6,300 Canadian for an ounce of gold. So, it's not any sign of it backing off either. Last week, brokers right across the country were sold out and not taking any back orders. So I don't know about the U.S. They probably have more available. And of course, we have zero for backup in this country because they sold it all off. So, but it wasn't Carney that sold it all off. He was in the Bank of Canada at the time, but I doesn't think that was his decision. So, I'm not sure how that went down. I think it might have been under Harper, a lot of it went, because they went into foreign currencies instead. That was a big mistake, going into foreign currencies. They're all collapsing and the gold is going through the roof. So, Emmy bought silver 4 years ago. Yeah, I got a little bit there when it was $20, 111 now. I actually had a quarter, a Canadian 19, actually I think it was like something like a 1958 or something quarter I got in change somewheres. And right now I think that's worth $14. So I was very surprised to see that out in circulation. So I guess I'm gonna have to, after this, I'm gonna have to turn on Salty Cracker and see what he's got to say. So I usually catch him at another 50 minutes he's on. And anyways, I guess that should do it. And I appreciate you all being on here. And always great to see you. And Lynn, I hope you get out of your tent there soon and get back into your place. Okay. Sorry about your loss. I'm not sure what it is, but like I said, that's life. It's not nice. It hurts. So, anyways, let's try to leave on a cheery note, and if you think of one, let me know. So, okay, folks, let's do it again next week. And hopefully one of these times we're going to have good news. I don't know when it's going to be, but after Carney's out, I guess. And say bye for now. God bless.